Ray, I never told you when!
Welcome to ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy. Let's talk about plot holes, those pesky parts of a movie that the filmmakers just didn't bother to explain. We asked you to name some plot holes in our community page, and overwhelmingly, you found problems with the Rise of Skywalker. I mean, so did I. I made a whole video where I worked out my issues with the movie with the puppet of J.J. Abrams.
Oh, hey! What's going on? Did somebody say J.J. Abrams?
We already made a video explaining some of these plot holes, but since this is Star Wars, we're gonna make a sequel. So, even though I think the movie's terrible, I'm here to explain everything that
just don't make no sense.
Alright, first off, let's talk about that dagger that conveniently aligned with Death Star wreckage, like the amulet in the Goonies. Corey E. asks, how can it align with this wreckage after 30 years? First of all, we don't know when this dagger was forged. Rey's parents abandoned her about 15 years before. Ochi, that's the Sith bounty hunter, died after killing her parents. So the dagger could have been as little as 15 years old. I also think that the ocean waves were caused by the wreckage. I think it was probably a very passive sea, and when the Death Star wreckage landed in it, it caused giant tidal waves to occur. This would mean that for years, this water has been trying to move the Death Star wreckage, and it hasn't had much success. Therefore, the wreckage would not have moved that much. So it is actually believable, if a little convenient, that this dagger would align with the wreckage. Jackson wants to know why Anakin programmed C-3PO to not read Sith. Okay, now remember, in The Phantom Menace, Anakin built C-3PO, and in The Rise of Skywalker, the droid says,
"It is written in the runic language of the Sith.
So what?
My programming forbids me from translating it.
3PO clearly says this was because of a law passed by the Senate.
I believe the rule was passed by the Senate.
So this law could have been passed when Palpatine was in power, because he didn't want the Republic droids to read Sith communications. Or this law could have been passed by the New Republic, to prevent Sith Cultists from communicating with one another. But most likely, this law has been on the books for centuries. See, Anakin didn't build 3PO from scratch. He's made from the scraps that he found around Watto's junk shop. And he was made of standard protocol droid parts and memory banks. I mean, it's not like this slave kid could have programmed him with 6 million forms of communication. Also, Everett PL asks why 3PO says this.
Taking one last look, sir, at my friends.
When none of these people are actually his friends. Well, Everett, it's because C-3PO is very socially awkward.
Oh my! Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't mean to intrude. No, please don't get up.
I can relate. This was me in high school. Henley Smith wants to know why Palpatine sent a bounty hunter after Rey's parents instead of a Sith Inquisitor. Well, Henley, actually the Sith Inquisitors from Star Wars Rebels were all killed before the Battle of Yavin. So instead, Palpatine sent a Sith assassin, Ochi.
Hey. How y'all doing?
Which, the more I say it, is a really stupid name for a Sith assassin. Ochi. Ochi.
What a stupid name.
Mikkel says Hux being the spy is stupid.
I'm the spy.
What? You?
Remember his Hitler-like speech in The Force Awakens? Where did that go? Are you telling me he blew up the entirety of the Old Republic just to keep up an act? Well, Hux didn't turn on the First Order until Kylo Ren took control. He never liked Kylo Ren, and he even says this in the movie.
I don't care if you win. I need Kylo Ren to lose.
So now, let's talk about the Sith fleet that seemed to appear out of nowhere. Command Z wants to know, where did all the funding for Palpatine's Star Destroyers and troops come from? And why did Palpatine's Stormtrooper armor resemble the First Order's armor instead of the Empire's like the Star Destroyers? And SpongeMan is asking who was crewing these Death Star ships. Just a second. See, none of this is in the movie, so you actually have to read the visual dictionary to understand it. Just a moment. Oh. Yeah. Sorry, is reading not exciting as like watching a movie? Maybe J.J. Abrams should take that into account. Okay, got it. So, Exogol is part of the unknown regions of the galaxy.
Exogol does not appear on any star chart.
an area that's mostly unexplored because it's so hard to get to, like we see in the movie. So think about it like this. Most of the galaxy is the old world, it's Asia, Europe, etc., while the unknown regions were the new world, North America and South America. And all this red lightning space stuff is like the Atlantic Ocean, preventing people from finding this new world. So there was actually vast resources and population in the unknown regions, which Palpatine had been cultivating secretly for years, even before he was Emperor. The books and video games explain that Palpatine created a contingency plan. If the Empire was defeated, the strongest of his troops was supposed to go to these unknown regions and rebuild. Okay, then so you might be wondering, why is there the First Order, which is from the unknown regions, and this other group? Maybe that's because the First Order was created to distract the Republic and keep them busy, while the Sith Eternal was secretly building a massive fleet and resurrecting the Emperor. Sure, that's it. Alright, now, Sith Cultists have appeared before. In the book Aftermath, which is great, you should read it, a group called the Acolytes of the Beyond by Darth Vader's lightsaber. So, since these Sith Cultists resurrected Palpatine with cloning, let's talk about some of those cloning plot holes. Mason asked, why did they say that cloning is something that only the Sith knew about or were able to do, when in the prequels, cloning is literally something used by the Jedi and not the Sith? Well, you and I have very different readings of the prequels. First of all, neither the Sith nor the Jedi clone anyone in the prequels. The Sith did manipulate a Jedi,
Master Cypher DS,
into commissioning the Kaminoans to create a clone army. So the Kaminoans are the cloners. Now you may be referring to this.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
Now that's not talking about the process of cloning. That's referring to Palpatine transferring his Force spirit into a cloned body. So James B asks, how could Rey's father be a non-Force sensitive clone even though the clone who made her was not? I actually had to look this one up because I didn't realize that Rey's dad was a clone. But he was, as explained in the Rise of Skywalker novelization. Turns out that Palpatine just tried out multiple clone bodies, but none of them could really hold his Force essence. Rey's dad was a modified clone. That's why he doesn't look like Palpatine. And he was the only one who lived. So the modified clone met a human woman and they had Rey. Rey is able to be Force sensitive because she has midichlorians from her mom grafted onto Palpatine's evil DNA. Alright, you remember midichlorians.
Midichlorians are a microscopic life form that resides within all living cells. They continually speak to us, telling us the will of the Force.
Midichlorians don't work within clones, meaning that clones cannot be Force sensitive. But Palpatine's process was unnatural, so it does not require midichlorians. So that's why you could take the Palpatine clone that doesn't work with midichlorians and he meets the human woman, Rey's mom, and then she has midichlorians, so when they have kids, the kids can be Force sensitive because they have the mom's midichlorians and the dad's evil Palpatine DNA. How is this any better than Rey being no one? Whatever. Emily R. asks why Palpatine searched the galaxy for his granddaughter, but then had her parents killed. Well, they say this in the movie. Her parents refused to say where Rey was, and that's why Ochi killed them. Okay, all right. I need a break. Sorry, I don't feel like I'm taking this seriously. It's just I really hate all of this Rey as a Palpatine crap. She really should have stayed nobody.
They're filthy junk traders who sold you off for drinking money.
Actually, we wanted to create a stronger connection to the original series.
Oh, hey there. J.J. Abrams, everybody.
Hey, everybody. I'm J.J. Abrams. Have a lens flare.
Hey, would you like to answer a couple of these plot hole questions for our audience?
Oh, no thanks. I'm busy looking for franchises. Ooh, what about He-Man?
Netflix.
E.T.?
You tried that.
Thundercats?
Michael Bay.
Ninja Turtles?
Also Michael Bay.
Well then, it looks like JJ is making the snort.
Now, let's address all of your concerns regarding Force healing. Draven Ash points out that several Jedi could have been saved with this power. Obi-Wan could have saved Qui-Gon, Luke could have saved Anakin, and Anakin could have saved Padme. Now, this is actually one of my favorite additions that the Rise of Skywalker made to the canon. The Force is made up of life energy.
Life creates it, makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us.
So it makes sense that Jedi could push this energy into one another. Now, as for why no Jedi did it before, Well, they didn't know how. Rey learned it from the Jedi texts, which were located on a hidden planet and weren't even that fun to read.
Page turners, they were not.
But your point about Anakin not being able to save Padme was very interesting and got me thinking. Palpatine promised Anakin that they could learn to cheat death, which Palpatine does through technological unnatural means. But it turns out that had Anakin simply looked inward toward the roots of the Jedi Order, then he could have found out that he had the power to cure Padme all along.
What?
And several people have asked why Kylo faded away when he force healed Rey, but Rey could heal him with no problem. Well, Rey was dead, and Kylo brought her back to life, so it took all of his life energy to restore hers. But that doesn't explain why he faded away like Luke, Yoda, and Obi-Wan. This was a technique that Yoda learned and he taught to Obi-Wan.
I will teach you.
Mike Allen has a good answer for this. It's theorized that Force ghosts manifest themselves with the remaining living force of that being. Kylo had none after saving Rey, meaning that he became one with the Force instantly. Okay, so what is the living force? Well, you remember Qui-Gon mentioned it to Obi-Wan.
Be mindful of the living force, young Padawan.
Basically, there's the cosmic force that's this
Phenomenal cosmic power!
It's this whole greater intelligence that guides the destinies of the universe. But then there's the living force, which is generated by living things.
You must feel the force around you.
When people die, their energy becomes one with the cosmic force. But by studying the living force, Qui-Gon was able to retain his life energy on the physical plane.
I am a manifestation of the Force. A force that consists of two parts. Living beings generate the living force, which in turn powers the wellspring that is the cosmic force.
Yoda learned to refine this ability in the Clone Wars cartoon and then passed it on to Obi-Wan and Luke. And I have no idea why Anakin is a Force ghost at the end of Return of the Jedi. If you do, please tell me in the comments. Now, speaking of Force ghosts, music theory points out that not every Jedi becomes a Force ghost. But at the end of Force Awakens, we hear the galaxy's greatest hits, like Mace Windu, Ahsoka Tano, and Caleb Dune. Well, it's because these are not Force ghosts. They're something else. They're voices from the beyond, the cosmic force. Who knows? They don't explain it. But this doesn't mean that these Jedi can come back as Force ghosts. Everett PL asks, why are 2 lightsabers stronger than 1 in the final battle? Well, here's my theory. In Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones, we see that Jedi can use lightsabers to absorb Sith lightning. Lightsabers, because of their kyber crystals, are basically force conduits for their owners. Rey uses 2 sabers to better absorb this energy because she would have been overwhelmed had she used only 1. Skylar Hansen wants to know how Rey teleported a lightsaber to Kylo's hand. Well, the power to use the Force to transport objects was shown all throughout the movie. It's how Kylo Ren was able to track down Rey and the others. Because Rey and Ben are a dyad in the Force, their spirits operate in sync with one another. But because the Force is connected to the physical world,
its energy surrounds us and binds us.
the Force has always been tied to physical objects. It's why the Jedi are telekinetic, why Luke, as a Force ghost, was able to hold a lightsaber, and why Obi-Wan took a seat on this log.
I find I've developed several new skills.
Skylar H wants to know why the Jedi didn't just join the Force battle against Palpatine. Well, they did, by helping Rey.
Rey, the Force will be with you. Always.
And there was also a lot of grievances about Anakin not being the Chosen One.
Is he not the Chosen One?
Alright, let's look at what we know about this. All through the prequels, people say that Anakin is the Chosen One.
He is the Chosen One. You must see it.
You are the Chosen One!
This even comes up in the Clone Wars cartoon.
And now you see who you truly are.
And what do we know about the Chosen One?
He will bring balance.
So, destroying the Sith creates balance, and the Chosen One destroys the Sith.
It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
In Rise of Skywalker, Anakin's spirit says,
"Bring back the balance, Rey, as I did."
So Anakin, as the original Chosen One, brought balance to the Force. Then this balance was upset by means some considered to be unnatural, and Rey had to restore that balance. Maybe she was the Chosen One, or maybe he was, or maybe Yoda was right all along.
A prophecy that misread could have been.
And finally, let's talk about space. Everybody wants to know how Kylo Ren got to Exogol. Well, the answer is he took a TIE fighter from the Death Star wreckage. Now, some of you neckbeards have pointed out that TIE fighters are short range and don't actually have hyperspace capability. But this is not necessarily true.
Nice try. Have a seat.
In A New Hope, Obi-Wan says,
He's followed us. No, it's a short-range fighter.
this doesn't mean that every TIE fighter is short range, only this model. Well, actually the expanded universe establishes that classic TIEs lack a hyperdrive, while the Special Forces TIE was first built by the First Order as seen in The Force Awakens. Brandon G asks how the horses could survive in space. Well, this isn't space, it's the atmosphere. And space horses can survive anywhere, even in your mom. That's just a few of the many plot holes in the movie. We answered even more in our first plot holes video. If there are any that you want me to answer, let me know in the comments below. And if it's your first time here, do that subscribe thing that you do so well. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.